Hello, hello, hello again, beautiful beings, and especially beautiful members. It's always so much fun talking to you guys right before this live video. Today we have so many epic, incredible, mind-blowing questions. We're going to talk about things like soul contracts, hopping different parallel timelines, AI, galactic origin, karma, and so much more. So it's going to be a really good one. Huge shout out to my members. Thank you guys so much for just submitting such epic questions and being so loyal and just being so great. A couple of things. I did want to start off by talking about this past week and the energy of this past week. Yeah, it's been intense to say the least, and I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know what's been going on. I've just been feeling it. I've been so reactionary, so triggered. It is so not like my usual self, but it's like I really truly experienced what it was to sink into a super low vibration this past week. And it wasn't anything in my reality that triggered it. It was just something that I woke up in. Did you guys experience that too? Have you been really triggered? Have you been having symptoms this past week? Comment below any sort of triggers or symptoms. So not only have I been really dealing with intrusive thoughts, but I was also dealing with like the worst case scenario. Like I was just freaking out and I was so fear-based about all of these worst case scenario issues. So like, I don't know, I forget what it was, but my wife is like, hey, do you want to take a walk with me or whatever? And I'm like, but what if we get hit by a car? It's like, what? That's not obviously the way that my mind usually works, but I did recognize where I was in the moment, so I was very consciously aware of the fact that that wasn't really my normal state of being. And even though I was aware of it, I was still truly unable to just switch that around and hop into a higher vibration. I felt like when I talked to my star family and had interviews with really high vibrational people, it pulled me right out of that state. But then I would go to sleep and I would wake up and I'd be in that lower state again. And it really made me compassionate for all of the people out there who aren't awakened, who haven't done the work, who are in a state of depression, and who are truly sinking into that state of fear. Everything becomes fearful in that lower vibration. So the fog, in a sense, lifted for me yesterday. So I felt really good yesterday. I feel really good today. But then me and my wife, we took a walk down Melrose and it was really nice. And, it was nice to see things opening up and people around and the whole LA vibe. And so we ate at a restaurant and we were very excited to eat at a restaurant for the first time in like months. And we ended up getting really bad food poisoning from the food that we ate at this fancy restaurant, mind you. We paid definitely extra for the food that we ate. And we got really, really sick from it. And so last night I had a conference, interview. I was a part of Saturday Night Alive, really great crew there. Love everyone who runs it, Scott, Mark, Deborah. And last night was huge. We had Grant Cameron, we had, who else do we have? Oh my goodness, what's her name? Anyway, she's really, Linda Moulton Howe. We had Whitley, I don't know his last name. Anyway, Adam Apollo, some really amazing people in the alien UFO field. And luckily I was the first presenter or speaker, but I was sitting there sweating. Nat is in the bathroom, throwing up, and I'm just trying to get through what I'm there to do, but I couldn't stay for the rest of it. It was bad. It was really bad, and she had definitely a worse time than I did. But yeah, so I'm what is the lesson behind getting food poisoning? What is the lesson behind that? And I haven't tapped into it yet. But I just felt like from the week that I had to the purging of the food poisoning, it was all kind of divine and synchronistic. But I'm definitely feeling pretty chill today after all of that. So yeah, super interesting. So some weird symptoms. I wanted to tell you, and thank you so much, Ron, for that beautiful super chat. If you guys do resonate, as always, super chats are appreciated, or you can just sign up and be a member and donate $10 a month and also get a ton of epic content. So someone in the chat right before getting on, but I've also heard this before, that February, I can't say that month apparently, 2021 is, I guess, the first time since the Dark Ages that 7 planets have been aligned in Aquarius. So this is what someone posted, but I've seen this before. The Dark Ages ended and Renaissance began the last time all 7 planets were aligned in Aquarius. I believe there was something also historically about a plague ending. Maybe it was like the Spanish flu or some sort of weird plague that also ended during the same time when all these 7 planets were aligned. So I think that it's got to be some sort of weird astrology thing where I've been just really low vibe and triggered. I don't know if we're just getting hit with a lot of solar flares and cosmic energy, or if it's just all of our old stuff, or maybe it's not our stuff at all and it's just the energies from the planet. I'll do a little bit of work on that, and I'll definitely let you guys know what's been going on. And I'm hoping that you guys are feeling better, like out of your triggery spot right now. If you're not, you will feel better moving forward in the next couple of days. Trust me. And I'm kind of crossing my fingers that, I'm over that little wave, but I'm sure things are going to be rippling out for the rest of the month. So just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, one more thing is February 11th is the Galactic Federation event. I believe that's this week, coming up on Thursday or Friday. Yeah, Thursday, I want to say, is Feb 11th. And it's happening at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So check that out. I am so excited to connect with the Galactic Federation again and talk to G and the Arcturian Timeline Council, and potentially bring in the Palladian Security Council and just kind of see, and maybe bring in Bacta, which is a Suri species, to see how our DNA is shifting in the new year. I'm just really excited to check in and ask them all these questions to really see where we're at right now. So tickets are $11 for the live, and then the recording is only $11 as well. Okay, let's dive in. These are great questions. First question, one more thing. A new member was asking how to ask the questions. So if you're a member, go to the community section on YouTube, and after every Monday live video, there is a Q&A post for the members. Just put your questions there and then click the thumbs up on all of the questions that you want me to answer. And it's just kind of a democracy vote sort of thing. All right. First question is from Megan Marie, new member, so welcome. Here's the question, great question. If we can hop timelines, is it possible that we jump on a timeline with a different past? For example, if we were abused as a child and hop timelines, could we be on a timeline where the abuse didn't happen, but we still have a memory of it? I'm curious if this is why sometimes our past isn't validated, or why 2 people have different memories from the past. Perfect. Okay. The short answer to this is yes, absolutely. It is possible for the past to be changed within timelines. As far as exactly the variables and factors combining into how that past is changed, I haven't really figured that out yet. So the past can actually be changed in its physical state. If there's a glitch in the matrix, then you're going to remember things that didn't happen, that happened in your timeline, and that's called a glitch. Typically, when timelines switch, even in the past, we all just align to how that timeline unfolded in the present moment, and we don't remember the old timeline of the past. It's called, or at least I call it, a glitch in the matrix when we remember timelines that happened, that didn't happen, that we shouldn't have remembered, basically. So I remember first understanding this when I went away to Vipassana, where I got abducted actually. I was doing all this energy work on clearing some childhood traumas, and I astral traveled back to my 6-year-old self, and I astral traveled back to my 14-year-old self to complete some of the trauma and the energy, and to really warn my childlike self that, hey, this is about to happen. It's going to happen for the better. This is going to make you a stronger person and what have you. And what I was able to do by traveling back there was to neutralize some of the trauma vibration of childhood. Not to say that it never happened at all, but that's kind of one step in neutralizing and clearing that vibration, is going back to that moment of trauma and neutralizing it by sitting with it and understanding and accepting that it all happened for a reason. The second level of that is things in the past actually fully shifted, like Fruit Loops or Febreze or the Berenstain Bears. And all of a sudden we remember something different, right? And that happens at large scales, but it also happens at an individual level. I remember years ago, my client calling me up, being so freaked out and telling me, Elizabeth, I don't know who my husband is anymore. I don't know who he is anymore. I've completely, I'm married to someone different. I'm married to someone I don't know. And I said, can you explain what you're talking about? Like, what are you going through right now? And she said, she said, so we were reminiscing last night. We've been together for, 15, 25 years, whatever the case was. And she says, we were talking about our origin story, how we met each other. And she said, she said, he told me a completely different story that was 3 years after we actually met. And he was bringing up situations in my life that went on in that 3 years, like a relationship that I had, that I never had, that was abusive, that never went on, and that abusive relationship was what wound me up to meet him 3 years later. She's like, but this isn't my husband. This isn't the one I met him 3 years prior to when he told me we met, and all of that stuff that he was talking about never happened. So what's going on? Is he an imposter? Is he a clone? I mean, he looks identical. So she was like super freaked out about what was going on. And I didn't know what was happening either. I tapped into it, and turns out, I guess they shifted into the other timeline, the other possibility of meeting each other, which was 3 years later, but she remembered the original timeline. What I find is when you're in a higher vibration, you kind of become above, this is what it is, you become above all of the other timelines. So you know how I say that this is a video game and you can be the character or the player or the programmer? When we're the character, when we're just playing the game, when I'm just Elizabeth doing my things throughout my day, acting as a human, not thinking that anything else exists, you are in full acceptance of every timeline and reality that is presented to you at face value. Therefore, when timelines change and switch, you automatically assume that that's all the way that it's always been. You never really question this reality. If you are someone who questions this reality and wonders what is the truth and what's real and what's not, most likely you're above the timelines so that you can observe objectively the switching of the timelines, and you're not necessarily in it, if that makes sense. All right, so just some things to think about. But yes, it is possible to change past timelines, or for past timelines to alter and change completely. But that's where we see Berenstain versus Berenstain and what have you. Now think about, I'll just plant the seed here because I haven't figured it out, but think about the moment when you can change your past timelines and what that would mean for you, or if you would change any of your past timelines because it would change the person that you are today. Personally, I've been through some shit in my life and I wouldn't change a single ounce of it from my own free will. Absolutely not. I would go through all of that because it's gotten me here today. All right, great question, Megan. Moving on to Crystal Daughtry, new member as well, so welcome. Okay, if you have struggled with this, please comment below and let me know that you've also struggled. So eating animals. I am a meat eater and diving into what is right and what is wrong when it comes to consuming them. Plants have energy. They have consciousness. They react to music. Animals have souls and consciousness as well. So I understand people not wanting to eat them, but animals in the wild eat other animals to live. So can you explain your opinion if it's better to be vegan, or if there are certain animals that are okay to consume? I know many are raised improperly, but for this question, let's say we are consuming meat that was raised with love and grass-fed. Thank you so much. Love your content. All right, cool. Great question. I think all of us on an awakening spiritual journey all get to this point. And maybe you are vegan, maybe you are plant-based, maybe you are vegetarian or pescatarian or whatever the label is, or keto, or I don't know. I don't know what your diet is. All right. I want to mention that this is just my opinion. This is just my perspective. I have dabbled in all of the different labels of all of the different diets because I've struggled with this myself. So first of all, the first sentence I just want to point out. I'm a meat eater and diving into what is right and what is wrong. If we stop you right there, there is no such thing as what is right and what is wrong. There is no moral compass when it comes to this planet or even the universe to say, you need to eat this sort of diet. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. The Galactic Federation, interdimensional beings, source frequency, no one is judging you for having any sort of diet, okay? This is what you need to know. There is no right and wrong. What I do is not right and wrong. What you do is not right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. What a vegan does is not right, but it's not wrong, all right? We have to let go of those standards of black and white. It's just not that, all right? So yeah, absolutely. Plants have energy and consciousness. Animals have energy and consciousness. So the saying of, well, animals feel and they have consciousness and they think. I mean, plants do all of those things too. So that's also not a condition or a variable to what is right or wrong. We're just trying to find these things to make our claim to validate what is right or what is wrong in your own perception and mind. So like I said, I've been kind of around the block. Your body will tell you what you need. I have seen it so many times with so many friends that they get into veganism. It's this whole lifestyle. It's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's a label, it's an identity. And it is a clear in-your-face identity because there's usually a judgment within that community, not always, but usually a judgment within that community to anyone else who is not conforming to those standards. The problem with that is that you are now judged by other vegans and you're a vegan yourself, which means that anytime your body's like, I don't know why I've been dreaming of salmon and eating salmon, okay? It's weird, but I feel so guilty and I feel so wrong because this goes against my beliefs and it goes against my identity and it's not what I know that I am, and I'm a bad person for thinking that I want to even eat a fish. Oh my God. That's a lot of resistance. That is a lot of suffering that you're putting yourself in because you're attaching yourself to a label that doesn't need to exist in the first place. right? It's kind of like someone being like, well, I'm Apple. Like, I'm an Apple lover, and anyone who has PC is wrong. And then all of a sudden you love the new Samsung phone, and you feel bad because everything else is Apple product. Do you see how any sort of attachment to an identity or a label is going to actually create a detriment and a resistance and a limitation in your own life? Right? So we just have to be aware of that. And thank you so much, Susan, for that really generous super chat. I really appreciate that. Okay, so where am I in my own life? I have an intuitive diet. That's what I call it. I eat whatever my body needs in that moment, and I am very aware. You have to be aware. If you're going to have an intuitive diet, you have to be tuned into your body. Not that I'm aware of what my body needs all the time, every day and every moment, but I tune into my body. You know, hey, Elizabeth, like, what are you feeling this week? Oh, you're feeling tired? Is there a food that's going to help benefit the exhaustion that you're feeling or the depression that you're feeling? Typically, there will be a food that, you know, maybe you're in the grocery store and a banana just randomly falls off a shelf. Pick it up. Okay, cool, universe, I need more bananas. I'm listening. Maybe you come across an article that's all about apple cider vinegar. All right, cool, universe, you know, I'm listening. All right, cool, universe, I'm listening, right? Your body, the messages, the feelings, the everything, the cravings will come through. Just listen to them. And don't hate yourself for having sugar cravings. Anytime I go on like a 3-day sugar binge, which isn't often, I always ask my community, I'm like, I've been craving sugar and consuming a lot of it. Anyone else? And all these people hundreds of people are all craving sugar. So when we judge it, we put ourselves into a place where you're wrong for eating and craving sugar. Whereas if we just accept it and observe it, we can then navigate why we're craving that thing. You know, like I told you guys, I don't even like honey. And my body was craving honey, but not just honey, but honeycomb. I consumed a pound, okay, of honeycomb, honey and the honeycomb in like 3 days. I don't know. And after I did, I haven't touched honey again in 4 months, right? So listen to yourself. In the past 2 weeks, I guess maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I always post this to Instagram, I was craving raw peanut butter and grape juice. And someone's like, oh, you were craving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I never put together, but it's funny. And I was like scooping peanut butter. I don't even like peanut butter. And I was just scooping peanut butter. Justin's peanut butter, like by the mouthful, okay? Listen to your body. I have an intuitive diet. I eat what my body wants me to eat, and I'm very aware of moments like last night when I get food poisoning to say, what is the message behind that? And what am I supposed to be aware of in relation to a diet, you know, moving forward? And I just talked to my wife. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we want to switch over to more of a plant-based lifestyle right now. And she's like, I was thinking the exact same thing. So here we are, right? We're just listening. That's all you have to do. There is no right or wrong. We're getting into fluid sexuality and fluid gender norms, and we're getting into intuitive diets, and that's it. Everything that you are, it should be open and fluid. There should never be an end to who you are and the identity that you have and the food that you eat. Great question. Thank you so much, Crystal. All right, next question from Allison. Allison Elizabeth, love the second name. All right, hi EA. Do you know anything about the artificial intelligence beings? A friend of mine told me about them, but I don't know what they are. Would like to hear your take on it. Okay, cool. So out there in the universe, there are many different interdimensional beings, artificial intelligence beings, okay? So sometimes most of the time they look quite robotic. I've seen many different forms of them. I have seen holographic forms of them out there in the universe, holographic forms of them that look very humanoid. I have seen like box, I don't know what to call it, like box forms of artificial intelligent beings, like robotic beings out there. Oh yeah, and then I've also seen and interacted with in interdimensional past lifetimes cyborg type beings that most of the time they look very humanoid, but they're actually all robotic on the inside. And I think that those are really interesting. And yeah, there have been artificial intelligence wars that have been waged out there in the universe. But I'll tell you, one of their greatest downfalls is that they're electrical. They're electricity beings. I don't know. And what that means is that they could short circuit. We could wipe them out in a single flip of a switch, right? So as powerful as they are, as intelligent as they are, they also have some pretty profound weaknesses. The other thing too about AI out there in the universe is they're typically like a collective, like they're like a hive mind, right? So if there is a virus, let's say, that's uploaded within the hive mind, it shuts down the entire population of whatever it is. So when I go to the Galactic Federation, and not that I've specifically ever really asked them about AI, but I know that it has been an issue and a lot of people have been questioning it here on this planet. But ultimately, it's never come up as an issue. All right, artificial intelligence has never come up as an issue. As I have seen battles, I have seen wars, I have seen things that have included artificial intelligence out there in the universe and robotic beings. But once again, it's never an issue because there's a lot of weaknesses within that sort of community. Whereas I can't tell another organic being what to do. Like a cat, like they're just going to do what they want to do, right? I will say though, and I've said this story before, I don't know, you know what? Something in me is just telling me not to say the story, so I won't. I'll leave it for then. I'll just say that I have checked into AI on this planet, and there are systems at play at the moment, but for whatever reason, the Galactic Federation has never really brought those systems up as an issue, and I'm just going to leave it there. All right, next question from V-Rock. If a person does something wrong because they think it's right, does that create karma? For example, a soldier who is killing people to save his country, or a man who steals because he's hungry. Amazing. I'm going to tap into this energy. I'm just going to see what, universal source frequency has to say about this karmic thing. I'm writing a whole book on karma and how cool and intricate and crazy that sort of energy is. So what I'll say from my own channeling and research, ultimately, everything that we do emits a vibrational frequency. So killing another human being, regardless if you think it's right or wrong, it emits a vibrational frequency, and eventually that vibrational frequency will come back around. I'm going to try and think of a really good example. Like the clearest example of this would be you're a soldier in battle and you kill other soldiers in battle. And then maybe in your next lifetime, you're a soldier again in battle, but this time you get killed in battle. That's just a very simple, very clear way of immediate, not immediate, I guess, but karmic and energetic replay. But I just want to see the intrinsic nature of, if you really truly believe that you're doing something good, does it change the frequency of the karma? Okay, 1 second. Interesting. Okay, this is really fascinating. So I'm just going to mention this. We won't get too much into this, but I'll mention what came through. So the two examples that you brought up, which are brilliant, being a soldier in war, thinking that you're saving your country and you're killing. And then being someone who's on the street and stealing food because your family really needs it, right? So ultimately, the message that came through is it's not necessarily the vibration of the act itself that is what gets put out there and what comes back. It's the vibration of how you're perceiving that act in the moment. So yes, how you perceive it changes it, but if we go back to the soldier on the battlefield killing to save his country, in that moment, he's not killing someone and saying, I'm saving my country. In that moment, he's killing someone and he's in fear and he's in aggression and he's in anger and he's in survival mode. And that is the vibrational frequency when the kill happens. Okay, it is that vibrational frequency of fear that is going to come back around to that soldier's life. Likewise, when you steal to survive, steal food to survive or feed your family, you're feeding your family, right? And you're doing something that's necessary, but the very act of stealing itself is this lack. I'm taking this because I don't have it, because I feel lack in my life. That energy and vibration of lack will come back around into your life, if that makes sense, okay? So the other flash that I got was an indigenous man killing to feed his village, right? So if you think of like a deer, killing a deer, and maybe the first arrow got the deer down, but the deer's still alive. When he goes to, fully do the job or finish the job, I guess, there's love in his heart. There is thanks. There is gratitude in his heart for the life of the deer. That neutralizes the vibrational frequency of the moment. And anytime I do eat animal product, and even when I eat plants, I'm always giving it love. Like I'll be cutting my tomato and washing my tomato and saying, hi, tomato, thank you so much for growing and traveling and winding up, in my salad for tonight or what have you. So doing things consciously with a higher vibration and a love in your heart is always the way to go to neutralize any vibration that may be icky. Okay. And thank you so much, Casey, for that beautiful super chat as well. Very much so appreciate it. Let's move on to Addie. Hi, EA. I'm wondering if there is anything we can do to help the unawakened ones who have already gotten the vaccine. Is there a meditation or an affirmation that we can do or say that will help these individuals transmute it to a higher frequency in their body so that they don't have negative effects? The best thing that you can do, because you can't do everything for your loved ones, the best thing that you can do is to really just send them love. Maybe you want to fill them up with white light. Maybe you just want to send them love in that moment, or just the vibration of healing and health and safety. Those kind of things you can send them at a vibrational level. But, ultimately that is their choice. And if something detrimental happens due to their choice, there is nothing that you can do to save them from that, because that is also written in their contracts as well. I just want to mention something. This is a human thing, so I just want to state that before I go into it. For whatever reason this morning, I was intuitively drawn to check out Apple News. It's just an app that comes on your phone. And the first big article was, even with the vaccines, we're never going to be safe. And it went into saying there's so many different strains of the virus. There's so many different things going on that we're just going to have to live with it. It's never going away. And we're going to have all these different vaccines for all of the different strains. And you know what I thought of? I thought of my 40-page essay that I wrote back in university in one of my last years being there, and it was on the war on terror. And I was talking all about the 9/11 attacks and how this, and I didn't say in the article because it was all based on peer-reviewed other articles, I didn't say that it was an attack from, the country to the country, which I still believe that it was. But I did say in that paper that it's a never-ending war. This is a war on terror, and we don't know who the terrorist is. So we're always going to be in a state of martial law. We're always going to be in a state of the Patriot Act or what have you. And of course, I'm Canadian writing this about America, and I wind up here, which is just such an eye roll. But yeah, and so that's what it reminds me of, right? It's this never-ending war on this virus that is just always going to be there. And I don't believe that has to be our paradigm. I believe that we can shift into a new timeline, but I thought it was very interesting what the mass media is projecting at this time. There's never going to be a solution. It's like, oh, come on. Like, come on. Anyway, I'll leave it there. All right. Next question here from White Wolf. Hi EA, last week I understood from my spirit guides that the Galactic Federation is about to reveal itself to the general public. I get that the how and the exact when are not set, but that it could be in March. I was told that humanity is ready to know the truth, but also that there would be chaos as a result, hence to stock up. Any thoughts on this? Awesome. So I will definitely be asking the Galactic Federation about disclosure, but I also want to make a statement and say the Galactic Federation has already exposed itself back in December through the Israeli man. The Galactic Federation was trending on all major news stations for at least weeks, a couple weeks. And so that was really the beginning of the disclosure. I don't know if chaos will really truly ensue from the disclosure of the Galactic Federation or aliens as a whole. I think chaos could potentially ensue if there was a giant fleet of spaceships that kind of lands on the front of the White House lawn. I don't know how that's going to go down. And last I heard from the Yael beings back in November when me and my dad took the trip, and they were in Mount Shasta and they were also in Devil's Tower, Bear Lodge. But last I heard from them, another huge disclosure won't take place until 2028. But that was the Yael. That was their part in disclosing, because it was the Yael who were a part of the Phoenix Lights, and that created a lot of hysteria. So they're kind of backing off. So I'll ask the Galactic Federation on Thursday during the event when they plan on disclosing next and what that's going to really look like and how they think that humanity is going to take all of that as well. All right, next question here. 2 more to go. From Lauren Nicole. When you talk about soul contracts, do you literally mean we signed a physical contract in another dimension? Or how does that actually work? And what happens if you break a contract? Who oversees these things? Okay, great question. So, no, it's not necessarily you sign a physical contract in another dimension. Okay, here, this is what I was thinking. Okay. Say, for example, you're taking a vacation and you're like, okay, for the next week, we're going to hit up this spot, and then we're going to go here, and then we're going to go to the hot springs, and then we're going to go to this amusement park. So the plan that you have in place when taking a vacation is very similar to how our soul and life contracts are planned out before we incarnate here. Sometimes, especially for starseeds, your soul contract will be planned out for this lifetime, potentially millions of years ago in a cosmic interdimensional lifetime. I remember being Hera, the tall gray ambassador, 500,000 years ago, planning out the lifetime of Elizabeth April, and subsequently planning out multiple other very important lifetimes that I were to have here. Some of the less important lifetimes that I were to have on this planet were planned out right before incarnating on this planet. So there's like a greater plan that we plan out, and then there's like smaller plans that we plan out. But typically, if this is your very last lifetime on this planet, it's going to be the most significant plan that you have for any sort of karmic, ties that you have to clean up, or lessons that you really have to learn that you haven't learned here, if that makes sense. And what else did you have here? So it's not a physical contract. And, what happens if you break the contract? If there's something that you don't align yourself to, once again, you're the only one who creates these contracts in the first place. If there's something that you don't end up going to, like, oh, I'll skip the hot springs this round, you probably will learn or go through that contract in another lifetime. And it doesn't even have to be a lifetime specific to this dimension or this planet, unless it is a thing that you can only learn on this planet in this dimension. Then you'll be coming back around to learn that thing that you missed the last time. So yeah, and so who oversees that? It's your higher self, and it's your spirit guides. Your spirit guides are just guides to help you align to the contracts that you wrote before coming to this planet. But if you literally decided in this now moment, I don't want to do anything for the rest of my life, I'm going to be homeless, okay? You could do that. You could override all of your life contracts to just be homeless. But the crazy, paradoxical, mind-bending aspect of that is, but did I always have a contract to be homeless in the first place, right? So, back in the day when I was really deep diving free will, destiny, free will, I really tripped myself up. And I thought that, by taking a pen and throwing it across the room, that I was messing up my destiny in that moment. I was messing up my contracts. I'm like, technically I was never contracted to do that thing because I just thought of doing that thing in this moment. Ha ha ha, like to spite you. I don't even know who I was spiting. I didn't realize that I created my own contracts. And then I would get really twisted in thinking, but was I always contracted to throw the pen across the room in the first place, right? And that really twists with your head. Still haven't figured that one out, but it is always just you who writes and creates these contracts, and it is your team who helps you align to the contracts that you wrote so that you can learn the lessons and clear the karma that you set out to learn and to clear. All right, last question here. And before we get to the last question, just a reminder for those of you who didn't hop in at the beginning, this video is only going to be up for 24 hours, so be sure to check out the beginning or send it to your friends if you want them to really watch this wonderful Q&A, and then the video is going to be uploaded to the members only section, so just keep that in mind. By tomorrow I have a really incredible video coming out for all of you. We're going to be talking about relationships, twin flames, we're going to be talking about soulmates, for single people and for people in relationships, tons of tangible advice for all of you in relation to relationships, okay? So keep that in mind. Galactic Federation, $11 ticket. Tickets are still available, and that's happening this Thursday coming up, so definitely check that out. Lauren will post the link in the chat, and she'll post it in the description after this. And what else did I want to mention? There was something else. Okay, we'll leave it there. I think that's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, make sure you subscribe and like and definitely share this video, but mostly subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you're digging it. And one more thing is my team, which we're building, and Lauren's been a big part of that. We've been really working on YouTube, and we are about to release, hopefully in the next week, brand new YouTube playlists. And we have, I think, how many playlists do we have, Lauren? Like 10? 5? but they're very specific and they've got tons of goodies in them. So if you feel quite overwhelmed in the hundreds of videos that I have, be sure to check out the brand new playlists that are going to be releasing and launching hopefully in the next week or two, but I'll let you guys all know, especially on Instagram and in the community section of YouTube when those playlists are launched. They're going to be great, and that way you can really find videos a lot easier because I know it's been a little bit of a cluster. We're also going to be going through the membership videos as well and really breaking those down into really easy, digestible playlists as well. Cool. All right, last question. Hi EA, I'm confused as to whether all humans are of galactic origin or just starseeds. Why is it that some of us can intuitively feel our galactic souls and other awakened people just don't resonate with that? Yeah, fantastic. So I put a whole video out there months ago, and it was about finding and connecting with your galactic origins. And I explained in that video that, like, I don't like saying this, but there's no other way to describe this. And it reminds me of Harry Potter and like the Muggles. Okay, so so I call them like human souls and starseed souls, right? We could also call them like third dimension souls, which maybe might be a little bit better and less like discriminating, right? 3D souls and starseed souls. So there is a difference. The 3D souls are souls who signed up to be on this planet just to have a third dimensional experience. I'm just here because I came from the first and second dimension and I'm ready to have a more robust experience. Okay? Unfortunately, those third dimension souls just kind of got caught up in the battle, the war that has been waged on this planet. They had no idea really what they were signing up for. And then the cosmic souls, the starseed souls, are souls that are coming from higher and other dimensions and other planets and other species that are specifically consciously volunteering their soul to be here on this planet at this time. Okay, so that's like their volunteer souls, their starseed souls, and they have incredible connections to the galactics and the other vibrations. It is possible for a human/3D soul to be awakened and to question vibration and to wake up. And it might be a lot more difficult for them to wake up, or a lot more startling for them to wake up. For starseed souls who are waking up, we're like, this is nice. This feels like home again, right? And there's a relief that washes over us rather than an anxiety that creeps into us. So it's all just how you perceive it, but ultimately there is a very big difference between the starseeds and the humans, even though I don't want to be condescending and say, human souls or whatever, but I do love my human. I love being here as a human. I love the fact that I volunteered to be here. This is an incredible experience that we are all in, and what a ride that we're on. What a show that we are playing a character within. So I hope that all of you are feeling a little bit better. This week has been quite intense, and I've been really triggered. I'm not usually that kind of person. So I've been just doing art and taking walks and stretching every morning and doing things that feel really good for me, which has been really helping actually. So I feel much better today. If you're not feeling better today, if you're still feeling triggered and depressed and anxious, don't worry, the cloud will lift, but try and do things to push you out of that energy and into something that feels a little bit lighter. Or have a good conversation with a friend, because that helps too. Or hopefully this video helped to switch and raise your vibration. Thank you all so much. I will be back around tomorrow for an epic relationship video. Stay tuned and keep your eye open. Love you all. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday.